everyone, and you're welcome to the program Leadership Dialogue. I am Aisha Shetima, and by my left today, I have Mr. Daniel Friday. Daniel Friday is the coordinator of NAN's North Central Zone, Zone C. I also have Omede Onuche Sunday, and he is the NAN's National Presidential Aspirant. And I have Mr. Ahemba T. Enoch. Mr. Ahemba is the National Youth Leader, the Student and Youth Leader, pardon me, from the Nasarawa State University. You're welcome to the program today. Thank you for joining us. Now, as we all know, the Nigerian National Students Association was founded in 1956, and this has been brought together in bringing unionism between Nigerian students within the country and diaspora. Now, today, we will be talking about building leadership through our students' unionism. Welcome once again. I hope we've enjoyed our day so far.
Thank you very much.
Now, Mr. Friday, I would love to start with you. What role does the student unionism play in shaping leadership skills among students?
Thank you very much. Very pleased to be here today. And, student unionism has played different roles in the life of student unionists, in the lives of students in time past and even currently, because it has built and shaped so many leaders of thought in Nigeria today. We have so many of them who are doing excellently well, even in the secular politics today.
Yes.
And that is because of the roles they've played when they were on campus. We have the likes of His Excellency Philip Shaibu, who is the immediate past deputy governor of Edo State.
Yes.
We have, most of them are at the Senate. We have most of them at also the House of Representatives. And this is because of the roles they played during their days in student unionism on campus. And that has gone a long way to shape them in becoming who they are today. That is why you see them excelling wherever they go, because they've learned all the core values and skills they need for them to succeed in leadership.
We do attest to the fact that a lot of the leaders we have today actually have emerged from the SUG unions. Now, but I'd love to ask, these core values you have spoken about, these core values you just talked about, what core values do you think students should actually promote as to become effective leaders?
First, we'll talk about integrity. Yeah, because as student leaders, we need to have integrity, and also we need to be very transparent in our activities. Because when you become shady, you lose the focus and you lose the impact you're supposed to have on the lives of students who are on campus. Integrity is a very core value that every leader or every student leader should have. The second I would also talk about is vision, because as a leader, you must have a vision. Before you even go to say you want to contest elections, you need to know what you're going there for. You need to know what you're going there to do, the impact you're going to make in the lives of those who you want to lead. And that is where the vision comes in. You need to have a design, a plan for what you're going there to do. I would also talk about good communication skills, because a leader should be someone who can communicate not just his ideas or his visions to those who he's about to lead, but also to those who are looking up to him, because even as young leaders that we have those who are looking up to us. So we need to be able to communicate in an effective way, which we have been doing. And so many of the struggles that we've taken, we've used the media, we've done so many interventions, and if not because of good communication skills, most of the successes we've achieved, we will not be able to achieve that. So a good leader should have good communication skills to be able to reach out to his followers and also to the larger populace.
Mr. Enoch, let me throw this to you, please. We've heard of cases where sometimes the student union groups have been used to project violence in the country. I'd like to ask you, what important or specific skills do you think the students can learn through their involvement in student union, or what do you think they have learned so far? Because we've had cases of some of these politicians using some of them to project violence. What do you think is a major skill that they can project being involved in student union?
Okay, thank you very much. I think the first skill for a student union is to possess is leadership. And just like my colleague has said, once you possess that leadership skill, you have gotten empathy. And then that's the first key as a leader. You should be able to lead and then be able to communicate with people. Because once you fail, not just communicating with people, but communicating with people on rightful aspects. Just like you said, being used wrongfully by politicians to promote violence and all. Possibly, there are four corners of the university, or four corners of institutions. So I can proudly tell you that those that are being used for violence has nothing to do with the four corners of the university. Rather, they are just being to the university to just earn certificate without getting knowledge.
Do you think most of these students actually aspire for some positions in these unions, in this union because they want to use it negatively? You think
we have
there's
cases
aspiration for this because of power that they end up using negatively?
Yes, we have cases of, today you can't predict. We have cases of when you see a student leader trying to aspire for a position in the university. Let's say the university has the scope. You see leaders from outside the university, from the government, from this trying to say, okay, I'm going to sponsor you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Possibly looking at it, they've pointed that if this person emerges, I'll be able to use him for whatsoever. Or even, we have, in fact, as student union leaders today, we have cases of even management sponsoring candidates. So that even if they get into the electoral way of student voting, then they should be able to be on the management side instead of being on the student side. So we have such cases, but it's just left for you to just use what you have to get what you want and then come back to where you feel you should be. Because integrity is at it all. Just like my colleague said, leadership is, the student unionism is a building ground. So whatsoever you do today will speak of you tomorrow. And
so far, from what you've said, this is an important role. This is an important body in most universities, in the institutions right now.
Very well.
Okay.
We have student union in all campuses of learning in Nigeria.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, in all campuses.
In all campuses, except for those that the management has chosen to take upon themselves to say, okay, we want to personalize this. So they appoint who they feel can be there for them and be speaking for them instead of speaking for students.
But how
and then those persons don't make good leaders.
Okay, the ones that the management pick, they don't make good leaders.
After the university, whatsoever, they don't make good leaders.
Why do you think they don't make good leaders?
Because as a leader, you're supposed to, the first thing you're supposed to do is advocate. You're supposed to be an advocate of the masses, of the other students, because they actually feel you should be speaking up for them. Imagine an institution of 20,000 students. This 19,000 something are expecting you to speak up for them. And then always the management can always call you for this, and then you'll be on the side of management and you come out and tell the student different thing. And before the student know, okay, I was a student of First College of Education at Konga. I graduated when I paid my fees as of then, 18,000 naira. But today, you can't talk about fees in some other institutions because they call student leaders at backdoors meetings, and then other conversations go on. And today, I think the least school fees you pay in institutions is about 40-something thousand or 30-something thousand. That's the least you pay. And that was just about within a scale of 8 years from now. Even at Nasarawa State University, I graduated when I paid my last year as foreign level student, 32,000.
You think it's an unfair increment?
It's very, very unfair increment. When there's hardship, we should be looking at ways where management or the government will be trying to at least reach out and then subsidize education.
Yes.
If you look at all budgets in recent times, even before now and other times, they'll say education is this. So where are they actually using the educational funds when they're not subsidizing education?
Yeah.
A public university, which is a state-owned institution or a federal institution, students are paying about 100 and something thousand naira, which is almost equivalent to a private university. So because the management feel they can sponsor students into student leadership positions and then use them for what they feel they can use them to.
And perhaps fear might be in the heart of some. You necessarily cannot always project what actually goes into that. But from the level of the management, you don't think it's fair and valuable for the management to actually pick the leaders for the students' union themselves?
We are practicing a democratic system in Nigeria. Let's look at it from the larger politics. We can't allow the US, the UK, or these ones to select our leaders, no matter how the sentiment will have in our minds as indigenes or citizens of Nigeria, we go out to vote. Even when we say our vote doesn't count, we still go out to vote. And whatsoever happens, we know that, okay, you have satisfied your conscience of voting for your leader, whether your vote counted or not. So management, the vice chancellors are being appointed by the councils of the universities, not by students. And they are to lead over the students. And so since students don't vote in for management duties.
Yes.
The management shouldn't have anything to do with student activism or student
but
union
they have
government.
been put in place to oversee the activities of
And
the
that's
students.
where the students, dean student affairs have to come in.
Okay.
As a management has to delegate a dean, a working dean, not just a dean for the management, but a dean that can at least be on the side of the student 50-50%, because he is the management staff and he is also working for the student. So if it's a 50-50 percentage, it will balance.
Yes.
But when the management appoints, there's just no way. Sentiment will always come, religion will come, whatsoever will come. But when the student votes, they'll feel, okay, they are exercising their franchise. They have paid. They have a constitution in place. We say they should vote.
We've heard of several cases about the dissolvement of the SUG in the Nasarawa State University. What do we know any updates? Can we know what's happening now? What should we expect? What's actually the decision? Has this decision been concluded yet?
Nasarawa State University's case was still on it. We've had several reasons to intervene in different issues, because it has so many. There are so many issues in one. Just that school.
Yes.
Yeah, we had the increment of fee. We had also what they termed as damage fee, which they said every student must pay 5,000 naira. By our calculation, the damage we went around to check is not even up to, I think, it's not even up to 1 million naira. But then you're taking 5,000 naira for over 20,000
These
students.
damages by the students?
Yes, damages during the student union government elections.
Okay.
Because, of course, there is no election in Nigeria that doesn't come with its own issues. Even at the student union level, we also have our issues, because just like you said, we also have bad students on campus. We also have students who have personal interest. We also have politicians who have interest on how student union government should be run. Yeah, in the institution. Then we also have management interest. So, of course, they may look for the bad eggs within campuses and say, okay, go and do this or do that, so that this candidate will emerge. So these issues are what we do have on campus. So that was what led to the disbandment of the student union government of Nasarawa State University, KEFI. Even though in every election there must be a winner and a loser. Yes. We expected the management to have announced that result after that election. So
the results were never announced?
They were never announced. The results were never announced.
Are there any reasons why these results were never announced? Well,
the management cited the issue of crisis that happened during the election. Of course, the election took about 24 hours, a whole day to run. Of course, there were one or two skirmishes, one or two issues, but then it was something that was resolved at the end. Coalition was done. Results
ought to be announced.
Result was ought to be announced immediately after the election, but management took it upon themselves not to announce the result.
I don't know why an election will be held, and then 24 hours after the election, results are not announced. And an unexperienced dean of student affairs will say, okay, elections should be announced in front of the Senate. An experienced dean that doesn't have student relationship. Because if he does, we have several other deans that, okay, would have said, okay, this is within my jurisdiction. I will announce the election even without the management intervention, because I'm dealing with students and I'll report back to them. But he held the elections that, okay, he is not going to announce the election until the VC comes into school the following day. And students were invited over to come to the Senate building the following day from 10 a.m. They kept students from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and no communication. Instead of the dean coming out to address students, let's say he is the bridge between the management and the students.
And students, yes.
Didn't. The vice chancellor didn't. And they sent aspirants that the supporters were already being agitated to come and address students. So actually, I think that was what actually prompted the whole damage fee they're talking about and all. But it was nothing, just as my colleague said, it was even nothing up to about 100 million, or not even up to 1 million or whatsoever.
100 million?
It was...
The damage is made shouldn't be up to 1 million.
Shouldn't be up to
Okay.
1
But
million.
what they're trying to extort from students is over 100 million.
120 million if you look at the
Because
statistics.
we have over 20,000 students on that campus. So if you do your calculation, 5,000 times 20,000 is about 120
And each student
million.
is asked to pay 5,000
Each
naira.
student.
It has
with
been
the hardship, with the current
it has
hardship.
been added to their school fees, and so that was one of the things we took upon ourselves to dialogue, and also immediately that thing happened.
And this is currently happening in the Nasarawa State
Yeah, Nasarawa
University.
State University, Kefi, and they disbanded the SUG. So we took, talking about dialogue now, talking about ways which we've tried to intervene. We took it upon ourselves to write, because we wrote so many petitions and memos to the management of the university, and they never responded. Then we took it upon ourselves to also reach out to other stakeholders of the university or of the state as a whole, because in NANS we have 3 C's. We have consultation, consolidation, before confrontation.
Okay.
Yes, so we took it upon ourselves. We consulted so widely. Then we began to consolidate on our consultations. After all our memos were not being replied by the management, we petitioned the management to the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, also to the governor, also is, the emir of Kefi,
Okay.
who is also the chancellor of the university, then also to the pro-chancellor, who is Professor Atairu Jega.
And there has been no response.
No, so far, well, the good thing is security agencies have tried to mediate.
Okay.
Yeah, we had the Department of State Services who have been doing all their best to make sure that we do not get to the third stage, which is the confrontation level, which, as at yesterday, I had a conversation or a telephone call with the DSS, and they assured me that they met with the management,
Okay.
they've spoken, and then the management will be meeting with us formally by next week.
Oh.
And we're hoping that most of these issues will be resolved. But to our dismay this morning, we woke up and then we saw that a memo from the management saying that they're changing the nomenclature from student union government to student representative council. Of course, we know in Nigeria just one school, which is Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, is operating that form of student
Representative council.
representative council. Yes, what we have all over the country is student union government. It is a government and it is democratic. But student representative council, even in ABU Zaria, is also democratic.
Can we understand what the difference between these two are? What is the difference between student union government and student representative council?
Well, student union government, most of the elections are being done direct. It's a direct election. The students come out, even if they are 100,000, they vote for who they want, and the highest, whoever gets the highest number of votes becomes the leader.
Okay.
It's a direct voting. But then when you talk of student representative council, it is more of like an assembly, and mostly it is by delegate election. So like how it has been operated in ABU Zaria, it is from the departmental level. They vote in their representatives to go and represent them at the faculty level. Then I think if in the department they have 5 votes, let's say 5 levels, so they have 5 votes automatically from that department. So each department within that faculty will now go to vote 2 representatives at the faculty level. One will be the faculty representative, one will be the chairman. They will vote 2 people from that faculty. So each faculty in that institution will now come together to vote who will become their president, vice president, and other executives. Then those who were elected as chairman from the faculty level will now represent the students at the parliament level. So that's the difference between the two. But then in a student union government, it is direct voting. The students will directly on their own. If it is 1 million students in that campus, 1 million students will vote.
Okay.
Then the majority takes the day.
Okay.
But in SRC, it's a delegate election.
And by all means, by all implications from what you've stated here, you prefer the students' union government than the student representative council.
And then the government, when you talk of student union government, is a government on its own that operates independently outside the management. But if it's SRC, that is Student Representative Council, it is always
supervised.
Yes, supervised.
Overlooked by the management.
There are a lot of interference of management in student representative council. Yes. A lot of decisions from the school management in the student representative council. But as a government, you can make your decision. You have your parliament.
Yes, it has been running for years. And looking at the case of Ahmadu Bello University, we can say, okay, it's a very clean case. It's well because Ahmadu Bello University have 774 student representative councils.
members of the student representative
Yes,
council.
members, because for each tribe is represented. Each tribe in Nigeria is
local
represented.
government.
Each local government
Each
is
local
represented.
government in Nigeria.
Each department is represented. Each faculty is represented. And then they go into, so they have about 774 at the parliamentary level. Then the executive level as well, they have its members. But just like my colleague was saying, the memo that was released today, well, going through it, they spoke of a 21-member committee. And then we're looking at, okay, how are these members going to be elected? I'll be bringing to. And they said, okay, they should bring in that deans and heads of department should go back and bring in best students from their department and faculties.
Decision was, this memo was received this morning. That
Yes.
is to say
there was a meeting held. A meeting was held.
management
The management meeting was held.
No, between
Without, there was no,
there was no
consultation
consultation
from
with
the
the
students. And
They decided on their own.
This is like a singular agreement.
It is just unanimous agreement between the management.
Between management.
Oh.
Because
And
there
they-
was no student, because in every decision you're taking for students, students must be represented there. If you're taking that decision without students being represented, it means you're taking a decision for management,
Autocratic.
not for
That's an
students. It's not
autocratic
binding on
decision.
students. But if a student representative is there, it means, okay, it is binding on them because he will come back to now address the students. And that is where, if we always agitate that they should have a functional student union in every institution.
Yeah.
Because, of course, in such meetings, before even fees can be increased, they have to dialogue with the student
With the
union
students.
representative.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is where the student union representative can say, okay, yes, we are okay with this fee,
With
or
the
we are not
reasons
okay.
given.
You understand? Because we will have to go back now to address our own students. So, of course, if student representatives are not in any meeting, that decision is not binding on them.
And
of
then
course,
I think one of the concerns raised is the issue that happened was an issue of election process. Why are they not talking about student union government now to student representative council? Why? That's the question we're asking. This is an election process. If the election is not even well conducted, maybe violence entered into it, why they not now reconduct an election?
And another election.
Apart from that, you have Unsuk is one of the schools that have one of the best ICT. They can go online for their election, where students will not even have to come and gather in any platform.
Oh, is
Of
that
course.
possible?
Yes.
It's very
We-
possible. Other schools are,
we've
other
made
schools
that,
are emulating such. But we will
Other
believe
schools have implemented this
yes,
method.
yes. We have the University of Jos.
Okay.
They do e-voting. We have University of Abuja here. They do e-voting.
University of Calabar do e-voting.
Benue State
Benue State
University.
University.
That is talking about the
That's
North Central
beautiful.
region.
That's good.
Even Benue State University are doing e-voting.
You
Which
stay in the
this
comfort of your
recommendation
house.
we have given to the security when we interfaced with them. Because they asked us what we wanted,
Yes.
management, and we give them the same recommendation. We say, okay, we know management are afraid of announcing this particular result. It is done and dusted. We are ready to accept
Reconduct.
a new election. You can reconduct a new election. Let us sit down, interface with management. Let us give them ample time.
And has this suggestion been proposed?
Of course, as of yesterday, the DSS got back to me and told me they proposed that suggestion to the management. But I was surprised to see this memo this morning. But then, when I reached out back to the security agency, they said on Monday when we sit down, we will address this with the management. So, of course, when we meet on Monday, we will address it with the management because, of course, we would not accept that form of
Imposition.
Yes, there has to be a fair and democratic means of electing student union leaders on campus.
Of course.
So, since they have one of the best ICTs in their institute, in the Nasarawa State as a whole, they have one of the best. They run JAM CBT exams on that campus, and also they do online exams on that same campus, so they can do e-voting. Students can sit down in the comfort of their home and then vote. We even have some schools who, even at departmental level, they do e-voting. So why can't Unsuk, of over 28 years, or of over 24 years or 25 years now, why can't they also implement such policies?
Unfortunately, we're running out of time. But before we go, Mr. Onichi, I'd like to direct this question to you. Being the presidential aspirant for NANS, I'd like to ask what structural policy improvements would you recommend for student unions to build better leaders?
Okay. A lot of policies that can help in building student unionism, which is, just like we said, a democratical process where students can elect their leaders. Why we want that is because today you cannot be in House of Reps, you cannot be a governor, you cannot be a top politician today without undergoing a democratical process.
Yeah.
And as such, we should imbibe that the learning process from the student community.
Yes.
And that is why we continually to say democratical process should be imbibed from the student constituents. And then secondly, you look at student unionism serves as an intermediary between the school management and the students. And as such, if you don't even have the requisite leadership skills, you will not be able to manage the students, neither will you be able to manage the pressure from the school management. So one of the basic things that should be, one of the learning process that should be imbibed is how to manage to manage between the management between the student constituents and then the school management. Like you all know that as a student leader, we are working towards aspiring to be politicians. And to become a politician, you must have the leadership quality to represent. And then you can take it to the book or take it to the bench, anywhere, anyhow, that as a student leader who have started student unionism from 100 level to when you graduate, maybe to PGD, MSc, and whatsoever, you have acquired a number of years in leadership process than those who are coming from the societal aspect of it, who jump into the politics. So the knowledge you will have will become, and you have an extra knowledge added to it. Just like me that I'm aspiring, I have traveled virtually to 36 states of this country. I have visited virtually all the campuses. So by tomorrow that I'm contesting to become the president of Nigeria, I will not see it as a stress because I'm building my body system to adjust to what it is to become a leader of tomorrow. You can understand that as a leader, you walk all through, sometimes even till daybreak. You cannot, it's not, leadership is not something you jump into it. And one of the things we lack in this country is right mentorship. We don't have right mentorship. Once there is right mentorship, of course, you will see that the challenges we are having in this country, drug abuse and whatsoever that you're having today, will reduce to the barest minimum. Because those who are seen at the helm of affairs, who are leaders of today, should be able to imbibe those leadership quality into the younger generation. And I believe that student unionism have just been the basic platform, one of the strongest platform of building leaders of this country. And that is why most of them that are in the societal politics, you see them doing extremely well. When they climb the stage to talk, you hear them advocating for right policies. You hear them speaking in light to where, if you're even seated at home, you will understand. We, students, constitute the largest constituency as far as the youth is concerned. We are the intellectual wing of the youth. Why I say intellectual wing is because we are undergoing, we're in the educational system. We are learning the process. And the other part of the youth that are not educated, it is also an onus on us who are educated to also bring them into the light. And that is why we said the student constituency is one constituency that should be taken with high esteem.
Let me ask what advice you will give to students that are aspiring to take on leadership roles in their union.
Well, my advice to them is to see the process as a platform where they are learning, because at this stage, no matter, you are meant to make mistakes. And by the time you make mistakes here, it's now going to be a bedrock to the correction you are going to take when you come to the societal politics. So they should build more on them, playing more on trials. Try as much as possible, as much opportunity that you can try as at this level, and then they should ensure that they should play it with all fairness. Fairness, because the societal politics we have today is very brutal. So it is we that are learning it now should learn it on fairness, so that by the time we are in the proper societal politics, we will be able to reduce the violence that is always involved in the election process. Thank you.
We do also hope that this disagreement between the students and the management at the Nasarawa State University, KEFI, is resolved quickly and without violence. We do really hope so. Well, unfortunately, we have run out of time, but it was a pleasure having you all in our studio. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have been talking on building leadership through students' unionism. I remain your host, Aisha Shetima. Please remember to follow us on all our social media platforms at LJE Nigeria. Till I come your way again next time, it's goodbye for now.